everybody, it's me, Heather. Great to see you all again. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about the Book of Esther. We're going to do a lesson that is Together, the Courage to Do Justice. And we're going to be primarily looking at Esther 4 for this lesson today. So if you'll join me in reading. When Mordecai learned all that had occurred, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, went into the middle of the city and cried loudly and bitterly. He went only as far as the king's gate, since the law prohibited anyone wearing sackcloth from entering the king's gate. There were great mourning among the Jewish people in every province where the king's command and edict came. They fasted, wept, and lamented, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. Esther's female servants and her eunuchs came and reported the news to her, and the queen was overcome with fear. She sent clothes for Mordecai to wear so that he would take off his sackcloth, but he did not accept them.
Esther summoned Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs who attended her, and dispatched him to Mordecai to learn what he was doing and why.
So Hathach went out to Mordecai in the city square in front of the king's gate. Mordecai told him everything that had happened, as well as the exact amount of money Haman had promised to pay the royal treasury for the slaughter of the Jews. Mordecai also gave him a copy of the written decree issued in Susa ordering their destruction, so that Hathach might show it to Esther, explain it to her, and command her to approach the king, implore his favor, and plead with him personally for her people. Hathach came and repeated Mordecai's response to Esther. Esther spoke to Hathach and commanded him to tell Mordecai, all the royal officials and the people of the royal provinces know the one law applies to every man or woman who approaches the king in the inner courtyard and who has not been summoned. The death penalty, unless the king extends the gold scepter, allowing the person to live. I have not been summoned to appear before the king for the last 30 days. Esther's response was reported to Mordecai. Mordecai told the messenger to reply to Esther, don't think that you will escape the fate of all the Jews because you are in the king's palace. If you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will come to the Jewish people from another place. But you and your father's family will be destroyed. Who knows? Perhaps you've come to the royal position for such a time as this. Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go and assemble all the Jews who can be found in Susa and fast for me. Don't eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my female servants will also fast the same way. After that, I will go to the king even if it's against the law. If I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went and did everything Esther had commanded him. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. To get into a story, I usually like to travel back a little bit before I go forward. So let's talk about Esther and Mordecai. The book of Esther, first off, if you haven't read it, is really quite fascinating. It's only 10 chapters long, and it's a great place to start looking at this wonderful woman. Esther was a Jew, and her cousin was Mordecai, who had taken care of her since her parents' death. He became responsible for her. And early in the book of Esther, the king had lost his wife. Mordecai convinced Esther to go and amongst all these other women and almost try out to be the new queen. And so she did. And during this time, she never told the king that she was a Jew or what her heritage was. But the king ended up picking Esther. And then after that, Mordecai would sit at the king's gate a lot, even before the 4th chapter, and just wait to catch a glimpse of his cousin, the person that he had raised as his daughter. And during that time, he overheard 2 guards who gotten very upset with the king, planned to assassinate the king. And Mordecai let Esther know, who let the king know, and saved the king's life. So Mordecai was also not well revered yet. He really hasn't been acclaimed yet for saving the king's life. But he did do that. And then the next bit we find Haman, which is one of the king's servants, highly regarded. But Mordecai doesn't like Haman, and Mordecai does not bow to Haman. Mordecai is Mordecai, and it really makes Haman mad. So what he does is he sends out a decree that all the Jews and all the people in the king's provinces that are Jews to be killed. And so this is why Mordecai has come to the gate. You see, it comes down to one man who is so upset with someone's heritage, their culture, and how they don't respond to him like he thinks they should respond to him, that he puts a hit out on the entire people, all the Jews. Now Mordecai goes to find Esther to let her know what's happened, because she's in the palace. She has no idea that this decree has been issued. And you know, we all have those crazy uncles, the ones who do about anything to get our attention or embarrass us. Well, think of Mordecai as the crazy cousin, a sackcloth at the fence where his daughter is the queen, embarrassing her. But he gets her attention. And he tells her about this decree that's come out to kill all of her people. And at first, she's scared. Esther's scared. If she goes and tries to talk to the king, she herself could lose her life because he hasn't asked to see her. And everybody knows if you haven't been asked to be seen, then you're going to die. So why does she want to put herself in danger to help others? And then Mordecai continues to talk to her and says, look, eventually he's going to figure out you're a Jew. He still doesn't know. And you're no longer going to be safe either. If you don't stand up for your people now, if you don't speak up for us and be there with us, something could happen. And Esther decides that she's going to take a leap of faith, and join in this battle against this decree to kill the Jews. And if she dies, well, she dies. But she's going to stand up for what's right. She's going to stand up for the people around her. Because if she does nothing, then they're all dead. Well, as we go further in here, we find out that Esther does talk to the king, and she's not killed. He received her well. And she plans a feast for him and Haman. And then she does it again the next day. And when she goes to do it the next day, Haman's still so mad at Mordecai, he's going to have Mordecai killed. And that backfires on him. And the king ends up praising and thanking Mordecai. And then Esther tells the king what Haman did. And then that Haman is the one who ends up being persecuted. Being killed. Because he tried to take out all his hate and anger on a whole bunch of other people. Misplaced, misguided hate and anger. How many times do we find ourselves in that same situation? Have you ever been the person who stands on the outside and just shakes your head and knows that what's going on with your friends, people at school, or people around you, or even in our country, that people are being misrepresented? They're being tortured and killed and treated poorly for no other reason than who they are. And a lot of times we just stand back and we don't step forward and say that they are my brother and sister. This is my family. please stop. Sometimes our voice is like the Queen's voice, the voice that's heard, the voice that's recognized. And if we don't step in and say what we need to say for the others, then who will? So for this week, doing justice, standing up for the people around us, all humans, created equally, loved equally, no matter who they are, what their culture is, what their religion is, but standing together. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be Esther and stand in the way of things being done to them. I hope that brings a little bit of light to that story. I love Esther. Read it. 10 chapters, super short. She's a great, phenomenal woman. Mordecai's a pretty cool man. I hope y'all enjoyed our story for this week, and I hope to see you again soon. Talk to you later.